Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Pomona, California at the Grand National Roadster Show. This is the best car show on the West Coast. It is so exciting to be here once again. We're going to do what we have done every year. You're going to meet some great people, see some great cars, listen to some great music. So you know what I tell you to do every week. Just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Without question, the #1 icon of automobiles for the custom and hot rod world is a 1932 Ford. A 32 Ford Roadster is even better. Well, Roger RITZOW is here with his gorgeous 1932 Ford Roadster, which I might add was the 2004 Good Guys Street Rod of the Year. Is that correct, Roger?
That is correct. We've got that in the Columbus show this past June.
What an honor. That's pretty much the top of the pecking order.
Well, it is. We were very happy to get it. There was a lot of good competition, and we were very pleased with the outcome of it.
So how did this start? You decided you wanted to have a 32 Ford and just started with it and ended up here? I mean, is that a 2-year process or 5 or 10 or lifetime?
It was probably, well, again, we unveiled the car in June. It was probably a year and a half prior to that we got into this. And I wanted a nostalgic 32 Ford Roadster. And Troy TREPANIER had done some work for me before, and I knew that if he accepted the project, that the car would come out fabulous, because Troy's real expertise is in the muscle cars and the supercars and things like that. And this was really his first street rod attempt, and as you can see, it turned out gorgeous.
Some unusual choices here. The color is not one that you see all the time.
No, it's not, and that was Troy's idea from the get-go, that it had to be in this, because it's a nostalgic 32 Roadster, that the color should kind of reflect the era as well.
And the wheels, the little bit, I mean, traditional, but larger than usual, and just great looking combination on this.
Well, they are. For the nostalgic 32 Roadster, we felt we needed steely wheels. And these are 19-inch in the back and 16s in the front, and these are billet aluminum. The entire wheel and the trim ring is actually part of the wheel itself. It's not a separate piece.
And that was your idea or Troy's?
That was Troy's.
I'm going to verify that. I'm going to make sure that it was Troy's choice and not yours. And as if by magic, here's Troy right here. It's incredible. Troy, what a nice job you did on this car.
Well, it was a challenge. You know, we don't normally do 32s, and Roger called and said, hey, I want to do a 32, and we knew he was the right guy, you know, because if we're going to do one, we want to make a statement, you know, and it's hard to make a statement with a 32 Ford Nostalgia Roadster. So Roger trusted us and let us create what we wanted.
With your muscle car background, this is a bit of a change for you.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, we brought in, you know, our unique use of color, you know, and then the engine's really neat. You know, we had to bring in our EFI on it, but make it look old. So we kind of try to take a mix of what we do with the street machines and blend it into this, but not take away from the nostalgic value of it.
There's so much teamwork involved between car owners and car builders, the communication that goes between you have to work together, you got to stay buddies on this type of thing.
Roger's just made it enjoyable, you know, and that's that we put so much passion into these cars. I mean, you got to get paid, and it costs a lot of money, but it's the passion of doing it, you know, and the guys at the shop, when they, you know, everybody likes everybody, and they know Roger's behind us, so when we create every day, you know, it's not like, well, you know, we got to stop and call them and see if that's okay to do or not. You know, when you have that freedom, it makes it a lot better. But even beyond the car, you know, we're trying to build relationships. I mean, we've got a better family relationship with Roger. I mean, if the cars go away, that's fine. You know, it's having a relationship with the customer. That's more special than even the car.
Well, the car is special. You did a good job of picking the right builder. You did a good job of building him a great car. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Congratulations. Thank you. The Vintage Vehicle Show is sneaking up on 300 episodes, and one of the things that's really fun doing that many episodes of the show is you get to go so many places, see so many cars, visit so many towns all across the country, and one of the things that's really fun about that is you meet some really cool people. Troy and Lois Summers right here, they are some buddies of mine. We have had great time at car shows in the past, and one of the things that makes those shows a lot of fun is the cars that they bring. They build some beautiful cars. You have a wonderful 1939 Chevrolet here. Can you tell us about it?
Well, thank you. Yes, it's a 39 Chevrolet. It was a business coupe to start with, and we wanted a radical custom, so I started chopping and hacking and cutting and welding and came up with a lot of unique designs, and this is what we ended up with.
So what was the inspiration for the blue ice?
Lois came up with the blue ice theory, and I believe Mike LaValle pulled it off quite well. It does. We're getting a lot of compliments on it, and it is very unique.
Yeah, there's not much that Mike doesn't pull off well. So that's true, Lois, that you came up with the blue ice idea?
Yes, I came up with that before the car was even built. I thought of that 3 years ago.
There is, I don't know if we can call it a trademark that you guys have, but I know you've done it with other cars where, or else maybe it's a budget thing where you just ran out of money and you couldn't get the doors to match. One's a suicide door and one opens regular. What's up with that?
Well, you're probably correct about running out of money, but that's just kind of a fun thing that we do. It just causes people to take a double-take look and ask, well, why did you do that? Well, I did it just to get you to ask why I did it.
Well, you succeeded. The running gear on this, what is the running gear?
We have a built 350 with a 400 turbo there. It's a carbureted car, and we wanted to stay with kind of a nostalgia look. Neither one of us are into the big-time power stuff, but this car is built to drive, and we will drive it, and it will run.
Structurally, when you take a coupe and turn it into a convertible, is there lots of bracing that's going on? I mean, how do you make up for the loss in strength?
Well, you hit it right on the head. There's a tremendous amount of bracing, both at the doors, especially when you suicide a door. There's a lot of bracing, but I put extra bracing throughout the car to make the body rigid. We welded the fenders and the running boards to the car, so we added extra bracing all throughout the whole structure of it.
Okay, Troy and Lois, thank you very much for being on the show. Appreciate it. Okay, and as soon as the camera stops rolling, I'll just give Lois a little hug. But this won't be on camera, we promise. We have so much fun coming to these shows, but every once in a while we have some problems, and one of those problems is there will be a car that is so beautiful that it has such a crowd around it that you just can't get any pictures of it. There's just too many people. Well, that's what has happened with this 1929 Ford. This is so incredible. Royce Glatter, tell me about this.
Well, it's a project that started out with a cartoon that I saw in a magazine, and Eric at Pinky's Rod Shop, I showed it to him, and he didn't think I was very serious, and about the third time I asked him about that cartoon car, he got Christian Dotson involved to start doing sketches and stuff, and then we just developed the sketches until we came up with something that we could actually build. And we just kept on working on the proportions and stuff till we could start cutting out frame rails and modifying the body, and you know, most of it's all handmade, so we really didn't have to have a lot of fences around how we did things, because we just got involved with a real good machinist and fabricators at Pinky's Rod Shop, and they just did a fantastic job of just kind of creating in metal whatever we kind of dreamed up.
You commented earlier that this was inspired by a cartoon.
Yeah, we. I wanted to have a project that just didn't look like it took itself very seriously. I wanted to execute it in a way that was really top notch and beautiful, but just have some fun with it. And I really like the car. I mean, I when you sit in it, your chin is even with the top of the back tires, so it really has a comical sort of proportion to it, but yet to me it's excellently proportioned from end to end, and
it's got a little bit of a Stroker McGurk look to it.
Yeah. I mean, cartoony.
Well, everything's unique about this, but of course the wheels really stand out on this, and you have a trunk that you're using for a trunk.
Well, yeah. And it actually, there is space in that trunk. I mean, I think most people think that we have the battery and everything in there, but we don't. We have the batteries other places, and the wheels are wheels that we were struggling trying to come up with something that we felt like was unique enough for the project. And at lunch one time, somebody brought in a picture of an old race car with a wheel that was similar to this, and so we started kind of engineering how we could nest together the drum and everything and make this kind of unique wheel that Colorado Customs helped us out with, and they did a great job.
What's the running gear on it?
It's a Dodge 270. I think it's a 54 or 55 Dodge motor, and then there's a Camaro 5-speed in it, and then an old quick change, a Dutchman quick change.
Well, Royce, thank you very much. This is a beautiful, beautiful car.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Junichi Shimodaira has come all the way from Japan with his 1930 Ford. Beautiful car, a kind of an old school, more than kind of, definitely an old school design of customizing. Junichi, this is a beautiful car.
Yeah, thanks so much.
What made you decide to build a car that to my eyes looks a lot like a custom car from America in the late 50s to mid 60s?
I like 60s style American show hot rods. So I image like 1950s, 60s show rod. I inspire these cars a lot.
What's the running gear on it?
Running gear 1949 Automobile Rockets 303 engine.
With a 2-barrel carburetor.
Yeah, actually I want a 4-barrel or two-barrel, but hard to find the intake manifold. So now is 1-2-barrel carburetor.
The whole car is unique, but there are a few things that really stand out on this. One of those is the running boards. There's sort of running boards and there's sort of not running boards.
Yeah, running board and fender. I want to finish to floating style. So separately from body. So I image like a floating fender. I call the floating fender, free floating fenders.
Free floating fender.
Yeah, free floating fender.
Is there a real movement in Japan towards this type of car, or is this pretty unusual for Japan?
Not usual, special one. Now in Japan, popular lowrider custom very popular, but hot rod is a little bit. Also, special show car is very, very special now.
So when you're over there, do they think this is a car that was built in America and you brought over there?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So the scene, the car show scene in Japan, is it very active? And I would expect that a lot of it would be sport compact cars.
Yeah.
But is there much of a traditional American culture over there as far as the cars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Japan, 50s custom and hot rods is very popular now. Especially how to say garage road, like a garage road. How to say, I don't know, rat rod.
Rat rod.
Rat rod. Very, very, very popular in young people. Yeah.
Are you going to be traveling all over the United States with this, or is this just West Coast? Or do you have a lot of shows in the U.S.?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much for speaking
to us.
If you have watched the Vintage Vehicle Show for any length of time, you know I like unusual cars, and one of those types of cars that I like are station wagons. I've owned lots of them. I really like old station wagons. We're walking around at the Grand National, and one of the finest station wagons I have ever seen is here. Al Engel, this is a beautiful 1961 Chrysler station wagon.
Thank you. It's a new Chrysler Newport.
And how did this? You don't see anything like this on the road. They're all gone.
They're pretty rare. That I think they made about 1,500 of the Newports, and about 600 or 700 of them were 9-passenger. This is a 6-passenger.
How did you come to be the owner of this, and how did it end up looking like this?
One friend of mine had one already, a New Yorker, and I liked his car. They found one up in Oregon. Brought it down, and it was needed restoration. And then I contacted Randy of Randy's Rods, and as you can see, this is the result. It was originally a white car, and now it's black.
Well, Randy Lackey, how did this, when this arrived, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got a big job ahead of me, or?
It's the biggest car I've ever worked on.
Yeah, labor-wise and size-wise. So what was the most difficult challenge in restoring this car?
Well, we actually did some modifications by putting the 392 Hemi in it, and that really had to be shoehorned. Although it looks like a really big car, the engine bay is really snug on it.
And this has to be one of the record holders for the amount of chrome on a car.
Close to it.
Yeah.
And paint.
Yeah. When you say you've just finished this car and premiered it here at the Grand National, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
What kind of response are you getting? Because this isn't your usual street rod, hot rod that you see here.
Very, very good so far. Even Dan Sear liked the location of it and said it's a nice presentation as you first walk into this building.
What do you see for the future, Randy, of station wagons?
Oh, I've done a lot of wagons, and I just see more and more of them all the time. We call them longbacks.
Longbacks, I like that. From now on, they will be known as longbacks.
Actually, this is a hardtop station wagon, which has no post in the or frame in the between the windows.
Real preferable.
Well, gentlemen, this is a beautiful car. You have done a great job, and both of you, and thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Thanks for having me.
In 1962, I was in a car club in Tacoma, Washington called the Steeds Car Club. There was a guy in the club that went out and bought a bullet-nose Studebaker, and everybody thought this guy was nuts. Well, we didn't see that car for a while. Then when we saw it again, it had radius wheel wells, it was lime fire green, it had a 348 Chev in it, had American mags, had collector boxes coming out of the fenders, and we all went, you know, those bullet noses are pretty cool. Well, Steve Metz, you have a wonderful example.
Well, I sure do appreciate it, and my sense about this car was also somewhat comical and whimsical. When I used to see these cars on the road 40 some odd years ago, it had the effect of a going and coming car. So it was a whimsical and a comical car. And yet, as I grew older, I got a much stronger appreciation for the aesthetics and for the design criteria. And as you well know, Raymond Loewy, the famous industrial designer, designed this car. And I just thought, you know, instead of building another 55 Chevy or another Roadster, I'm going to take this car and make this into a wicked pro street car. And here it is.
Beautiful example. It reminds me a little bit of those, you know, those die-cast cartoon cars that are out there. You've seen those?
Yeah, yes, I've seen them because I'm the creator of some of those. In fact, I'm the guy that created that whole line of muscle machine cars, you know, those exaggerated cars with the oversized engines and everything. And it shouldn't be lost on you that this is the real-life example of one of my miniature 18-scale die-cast cars.
Viewers, we set you up for that, but hey, this is the guy that does those cars that all kinds of you own, so that's really exciting that you grasped that idea and that it caught on so well, and boy, does it look like that's successful.
Well, it's real fun, and I'm not sure if it was that unique. I think it's just the total balance of what I put together on it. And actually, the car, although one would think it's a toy, is really geared toward guys like you and me. I mean, I'm looking for the child in you. And I think that the dynamic of a monster engine and big tires is never lost.
That's one of the beauties about this hobby is you don't have to work very hard to find the child in a lot of these street rod people.
No, we're all kids. I mean, you know, I'm called an old fart sometimes, but there's an 18-year-old kid screaming to get out of here. And I think part of the fun, and I think you'll appreciate it, is that, you know, it's at this point in my life and at this age and at this financial capability that I'm building cars today that I wish I could have driven when I was a teenager.
Sure, yeah, we're all doing that. This particular Studebaker, what's the running gear on this?
It's a 632 cubic inch Chevy, 1,300 horsepower on the dyno, and it has a 1972 Hillborn injection system that's out of one of my old drag boats. So it's a mechanical injection system with a Lucas pump, and it's got a turbo 400 behind it, and then it's got a Detroit locker and a pretty strong running gear. I mean, this thing is pretty stout.
You're pretty good on camera. Let me give you some advice. Maybe you should think about having your own television show. You've been set up again.
Hey, this guy is setting me up. You've been doing this too long. In fact, thanks for the plug and for the opening. Yes, we're just about to create our own TV show called Hot Rod Underground. And somewhat like you, it's not so much about the build of a car, but it's about the lifestyle and the culture and the journey that all guys like you and me make. That really what I think are the underpinnings of this entire hot rod and this whole culture. I think it's wonderful, and it speaks well of our culture, and I think it really defines us as Americans, who we are.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show. You have
pleasure.
a wonderful car. As I'm walking around the Grand National Roadster Show, a car catches my eye, and I decide I want to interview the owner and builder of this car for two reasons. One, I used to own a 52 Chev, so I have a soft spot for him. And two, this car is out of Beaver Creek, Oregon, which probably you've never heard of, but it seems to be a hotbed of cars. I actually purchased my Hot Rod Rambler in Beaver Creek, Oregon, and I've looked at other cars for sale in Beaver Creek, Oregon. So what the heck happens in Beaver Creek, Oregon? Is the water down there or what?
Pretty much.
Dave and Chris Spear, tell us a little bit about your car.
It's a 52 Chevy fastback. Did some modifications. Put a 50 Olds grill in it. 53 Studebaker floating bar. 57 DeSoto trim. 50 Pontiac side trim. Chopped 1 7/8. Hard topped. Put a 58 Impala top for a third brake light. Modified the quarters to put the 55 Packard taillights in it and dropped it 3 inches.
There's a lot of tradition here. I mean, I look at this, and this doesn't look a whole lot different than how they customized them in the 60s. How did that come about, and how did a young guy like you turn out a car that looks like a guy twice your age built?
Just enjoy building the old school rides, and just like to build it in the way they used to. I was born too late, actually.
The color combination is very nice. That was just something that you looked at the car as you were building it and decided that's what it needed to be, or how'd that come about?
Well, I look at a lot of magazines, and that's where I got my ideas from. So and that's just a schema we come up with.
So that would explain quite a bit how this looks like an older custom, because you were looking in the old, the little books, the Rod and Customs and whatever, for inspiration.
Yes, and like I say, the color is 55 Packard, so.
How did it come about that you ended up with this car? Was this rusting in the ground in Beaver Creek, or how did this come into your possession?
No, I bought it in a wrecking yard in
1980.
1980, and like I say, the wife said, "What do I see in this car?" And now you see what I seen in it, And
I'm going to take a guess here. 1980, you were residing somewhere else other than on this planet?
8 years old.
You were 8 years old then, okay.
I'm 32, so yeah. And then in 84, 85, we went down to August Nights with it. And then we drove it for a while, and then back in 94, we tore the car down and basically redid it again.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. This is a beautiful car.
Thank you very much.
We have had so much fun here at the Grand National Roadster Show, and one of the reasons I had so much fun is I ran across Cindy Williams today. How are you, Cindy?
Well, I'm just fine, Lance. Thank you.
And what brings you to the Grand National Roadster Show?
Well, I'm here with Paul and Matt, and we're representing American Graffiti. We have the two of the cars from American Graffiti here, and we're out here to meet and greet.
If you look at American Graffiti and the fun you had with that, and Laverne and Shirley and the fun that you had with that, and the walk on the beach that you and I took today at the seashore that we rode down to in the convertible, which, of all those three, what do you think was the best?
Oh, Lance, do I have to say on camera? We both know. Yeah. It's our little secret.
And we talked about my wife the entire time, didn't we?
Yes, we did. A lovely woman. Lola, Julie, Carol.
Tim, what's... Jan. It's Jan. That's
Jan.
right. Yeah.
Hi, Jan. That's just a joke about going in the car.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't spend any time today alone together, did we, Cindy?
No, we didn't, Lance, except he did take me shopping.
Except there were no stores where we were at. It was the strangest thing.
Lance, all right, enough. I don't know what happens with men and car shows and the lights and everything.
Yeah, we go a little crazy. Well, Cindy and I are going to go have dinner, a little wine, candlelight, another walk.
I didn't bring the clothes for all that.
I'm not touching that one, Cindy.
I'm not either.
Thank you, Cindy, for helping us out here. We have had a great time talking
Thank you,
to you.
Lance.
All right.
Thank you very much. It's been a great time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dan and Shar, Sear. We have had such a good time at the Grand National Roadster Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.